What's up everybody, Super Dorks fan here for another car review. This is of course the 2015 Buick Regal GS. Huge thanks to Buick for providing me with this very nice press car to review for you guys today. So about the Buick Regal GS, this is the top dog in the Regal lineup, and this one is clearly the performance-oriented one. Looks a lot like the European Vauxhall Insignias that are very aggressive, and this just looks beautiful. I mean, everything about this car, I mean, all the Buicks these days are gorgeous, and this one is no exception. I mean, just everything from the headlights to these beautiful wheels. These are some of the best wheels I've seen in a while, especially from GM. I mean, the Z28s might have these beat, but aside from that, these are gorgeous wheels. And you see they conceal the Brembos very nicely there. They're hiding behind it, and they're big, beefy Brembos too. And just, I mean, even for the back end of this car, just beautiful from every single angle. Whereas for the interior of the Buick Regal GS, it's a very nice place to be. So first things first, sitting down in these seats, they're very nicely leather trimmed here. They're a tad bit on the firm side, but they're not bad. They're still very comfortable, luxurious seats, and the bolsterings on them is great as well. The thigh bolsters are really quite beefy. I was thoroughly surprised with how beefy the bolsters were in this car. And then torso support is very good as well. And I mean, for someone that's a smaller frame like me, it really hugs me in. I had a friend though that I gave a ride in this car, and he sat in the passenger seat, and he's just slightly bigger than me, and he said the seats felt too tight to him. So it might just be personal taste, but definitely sit in one if you're considering one of these. But to me, they feel spectacular. Next is the steering wheel in this car, which is another beautiful masterpiece. So it's nice and thick, beefy wheel, very nice metal accents on it. You have a good array of buttons, but nothing too overwhelming, and it has a really nice flat bottom, and the thickness of it, it's just, this is one of the beefiest wheels I think I've ever used, and really good 9-3 grip as well. But man, it's quite a wheel. I really like it. Next is the gauges in this car, which are also spectacular. The GS has the large screen there for all digital gauges. You have the tachometer still, it's analog there on the left, and the fuel and coolant temperature gauges are analog. But then that big, beautiful display in the middle has all kinds of uses. I mean, it has, you know, your speed right in the middle there, but it also will show you things like, you know, your audio. It'll show you performance gauges if you want to see all that kind of stuff. Although I will say this car doesn't have a boost gauge, which is a kind of a disappointment, being that it's turbo. I would have appreciated that, but it has just about every other gauge you could want, that's for sure. But it'll also show you your map for where you're going if you're using your navigation system, and it really just does everything, and it's a beautiful looking display as well. Coming along to the center of the dashboard here, it's very nice, and it has, you know, a good mixture of knobs and buttons, but also you have some capacitive touch stuff down here, similar to the Cadillacs. So, but first up top here, you have a very nice screen here, very similar to the Chevrolet MyLink system with the way it's set up, except this one has, you know, some nicer graphics and some nicer fonts, and looks a little more upscale than the Chevrolet does. But, you know, very nice looking, and everything's very straightforward, easy to use. And you also have some buttons up here. You have your GS button, which is one of the driving modes, as well as a sport button, another driving mode, and you have park sensors and things like that you can turn on and off. And then you have your radio controls and a few buttons here for shortcuts to the home menu and things like that. And they all have a great resistance and feedback, and they all feel very nice. And then you come down to the climate controls, which, like I said, it's a mixture. You have the basic buttons here, but you also have the capacitive touch. And the capacitive touch is okay. So the thing is with this, you have to be very deliberate whenever you are wanting to do something. So if I just tap it quickly, it doesn't register. But if I do like almost like I'm doing a fingerprint scan or something, and I push it and leave it there for a brief second, then it'll get it every single time. So if you know how to use it right, then it works flawlessly. You just have to know that you need to be deliberate with each touch, or otherwise it'll kind of miss it. But I actually like that though. It gives it a very futuristic feel, and once I got used to using them, I like them a lot. As far as storage space goes in the Buick here, it's pretty good. So you have large map pockets here in the doors that have a bottle holder. That's always nice. The center here, all you really have is a power outlet and a tiny little cubby that, you know, can be used as an ashtray if you get the smoker's package. And then you have another tiny little cubby here that couldn't really be used for a whole lot, maybe some change, things like that. And then you have your 2 cup holders, which are a good healthy size. And then you have this armrest, which I first would like to say I love the shape of this, how it extends out here, just enough to rest your elbow on, because if it was cut off, you wouldn't really have much support, but it's really nice that it comes all the way out. And it's also very soft and nice to rest your elbow on as well. But this center console here, it's pretty good. So you have this back portion here that's a good depth, and you can fit a good amount of things in there. This front portion has one of your power outlets, as well as 2 USB ports, which is awesome, an auxiliary port, and an SD card slot, which is very cool. The trouble with this, because I've plugged a few like iPod cords and stuff into here, is it's such a narrow opening that trying to get a good grip around the cord or the plug and pulling it out can sometimes be a little tricky. Backseat space in the Regal is very good. Me sitting behind myself, I'm 5'9". I have plenty of leg room, lots and lots of leg room, and I have quite a few inches of headroom there as well. So it's just about as much as you can ask for in a car of this size, and no complaints there whatsoever. Backseat occupants also have their own vents. They have 2 cup holders and a little armrest and cubby there in the middle that drops down. And there's even a normal power outlet, like you have a normal house current plug there, so you can, you know, charge laptops, do all kinds of cool stuff back there. So that's very nice. Trunk space in the Regal is very good. You can fit several suitcases in there, and it's a nice wide opening, and you know, I think it's a very functional trunk. All right, so start up and go for a drive. Buicks all have, you know, a very nice little key fob here, but you just leave that in your pocket because this car, like all of them, have keyless entry, and it also has the keyless push button start as well. So you just put your foot on the brake, and it starts right up. All right, so setting off in the Buick Regal GS. So unfortunately, the day that I received this press car, the weather was terrible and I wasn't able to do any of the filming of my very first impressions. So, but I've been driving this car for a few days, and you know, it's a very smooth, comfortable ride, I have to say. And it's a really nice car to drive down the road. So you have great view forward. You know, the hood drops down nicely, so great view forward. Side, you know, great visibility. You do have a, you know, beef pillar, but it's, you know, it's manageable. And the back window is a tad bit on the small side to see out of, but I mean, it's fine. But I'm going to put this into GS mode, which is the hardcore version, and let's turn onto this back road here and see how it does. So it hustles. So we're dealing with 257 horsepower and 292 pounds-feet of torque. And the GS has a special engine map, so it comes on 500 RPM earlier than the standard Regal Turbo, which also has the same power output for 2014 and 2015 here. And so it's a good amount of power, though. You know, like I said, it's nice that it comes on early, and it's one heck of a turbo. I think it's putting out 23 PSI max boost, and you definitely can feel this car is turbocharged, but it makes it fun. Like I said, there's a little bit of a tiny bit of lag, and then it pulls hard, and it's really fun, I gotta say. I will say though, I'm not blown away by the straight line speed. I thought that I would be a little bit more floored by just how quick it is, but I think the 0 to 60 time is like 6.2 seconds here for the GS. This one with the all-wheel drive, of course, and that's the other thing is, you know, since I have been driving this car around for a few days, that's one thing that I really have noticed is the all-wheel drive. This car just digs in and it grips so well, and you can get these in front-wheel drive as well. And the front-wheel drive version gives you the option of the manual as well. The all-wheel drive version I have here only comes in the automatic, but it really feels great though. I really would prefer the all-wheel drive, I think, myself, because this might be a lot of power to manage through the front wheels. But since I mentioned this transmission, that's another thing that I've been playing with here over the past few days already, and the transmission is okay. It's your standard run-of-the-mill automatic. Even when you put it into manual mode and, you know, hit it, and then it goes. So it's not immediate. It'd be great if they put the awesome 8-speed automatic that they have in the new Corvette in this. I think that would be a huge improvement. But for just a cruising, comfortable sports sedan, like I said, the automatic is fine. If you prefer shifting gears yourself, go for the front-wheel drive manual. But overall, I mean, it's such a nice car to just cruise in, and with all the technology and stuff, that you're bathed in this luxury and all this high-tech stuff. It's really cool. And another thing that I can mention is some of the technology that comes on this car as options. This one has the adaptive cruise control that is very cool to use. This is the first time I've ever used adaptive cruise control in any car, and it's very cool. You set your following distance, you set your speed, and it slows down. If a car is slowing down and you get over, or it gets out of the way, and it speeds right back up again, and it works flawlessly. And this car also has the collision warning system, so if someone slams their brakes right in front of you, it immediately lets you know and gives you a split second to react, or else it'll intervene for you, which is also nice to have an extra set of eyes watching out for you. And so yeah, it's a great car. It makes you feel very safe driving it. It gives you a lot of confidence driving this car, and I really enjoy it. But I'm gonna drive this car around for a few more days and take it on some back roads as well, and I'll come back and give you my updated impressions. Alright, so I've been driving the Buick Regal GS around for almost a week now, and have a few more impressions. And I mean, the first thing is, obviously it's a very nice car. There's no denying that. I love staring at this beautiful digital display whenever I'm driving, and I mean, all the gadgets, the adaptive cruise control, and all that kind of stuff, the Bose sound system, all that. It sounds very nice. It's very nice to have all of that stuff, and it's a great car to commute in and to have a little bit of fun in as well. And I know I mentioned earlier that these seats are a little bit on the firm side, but the more that I break them in and the more that I get used to them, the more I really appreciate them. But one thing I haven't talked about too much is the suspension, so we'll put this into sport mode and have some great corners here. And let's talk about this handling, because that's really the main thing that sets the GS apart. And I mean, really tight corners here, and I'm on snow tires, but it still just digs in and grips. It's very, very impressive handling. It's got the Bilstein struts, and it's really a fun thing to toss around. Another thing that really helps make this car fun and spirited driving is that the power, that mid-range power that comes on a little bit earlier in the GS, 2,500 RPMs, it really helps to give you a little burst of speed whenever you need it, whether it's passing on the highway or sprinting up a curvy road like I'm doing now. It's really nice to have. And I'm still not blown away by the power or the transmission. I wish it was the quicker 8-speed that GM has, and I wish there was a little bit more power here still, but it's enough to have fun with and play around with, and you can still speed around in this thing very, very easily and get yourself in some trouble if you really wanted to. But it's really great. There are two modes here. There's Sport and GS, and both of them firm up the steering weight a tad bit, the throttle response, and the transmission maps, and give you more of a sporty experience. The GS, the suspension gets so stiff that some people might find it a little bit too rough. I don't mind it personally, but the sport mode is a really nice blend between the normal, regular, just comfort mode and the GS mode, and it's just a great thing to drive. In my week of spirited driving and regular commuting, I averaged right around 23 miles per gallon in this car, which isn't bad considering it's 4,000 pounds. One thing though about the Regal GS that is kind of missing is the sound factor of it all. I can very, very slightly hear a little bit of a wastegate every once in a while with the turbos spooling up, but this thing makes 23 pounds of boost. It could be a crazy spooling, whooshing sounding thing. Obviously it's a Buick, it has to be more refined. If you want to go to the aftermarket, you can make it as noisy as you want, but I just wish there was a little bit more sound. I know they said that it has a GS specific exhaust, but to me this sounds still very, very quiet and sounds totally like a regular stock Buick Regal probably would. So I wish there was more sound there, because I think that would really liven up the experience a little bit. So I mean, overall, the Buick is a very, very nice car. I think that the biggest thing that the Buick has to overcome is its price. I think it's worth its price tag, but there's a lot of stiff competition even within General Motors. So this car with the all-wheel drive in the GS trim is $40,000 starting roughly, with all the adaptive cruise control and the collision sensing things, all that stuff. It ends up being around $45,000. So $45,000, I mean, obviously that's a fully loaded one. You can cut back on the options some, but there's a lot of really good stuff within GM in that same price range. You can go to 48 grand and get yourself into a Chevrolet SS sedan like the one I reviewed. Tons and tons of fun. You get an awesome V8 soundtrack and rear-wheel drive for just a few thousand more. So that's very compelling. In addition, you could also go for a Cadillac ATS, which has a very similar 2-liter turbocharged engine that actually makes a little bit more power. And in addition to that, it also has the all-wheel drive and a lot of the same features that the Buick here has. And so there's definitely many options in this segment, but the Buick is really, I think, the one for people that want to fly under the radar. I mean, the ATS and the SS aren't very shouty cars either in their appearances, but I don't know, just something, when you're driving a Buick Regal GS, like I've had a few people that knowingly like look at it like, oh man, that's nice, because one, you don't see them very often, so that kind of makes it a connoisseur's car to begin with. But in addition to that, it's, people appreciate that, the GS isn't really faster in a straight line than a regular Regal Turbo. The thing is, it has the better handling, so it's not like you just bought the GS because you want to go faster. It's like you bought it because you appreciate fine handling and you appreciate all those things. And I feel like that is kind of, that gives you respect in the car world. And I think that's why this is such a likable car and it's so respectable at any price, is because the GS doesn't just add power. All it does is gives you a great suspension. Obviously you have the very nice digital display that's only on the GS and the very cool bodywork as well. But it just, to me, it seems like it's just the connoisseur's choice for those that are in the know. Alright, so I'll leave you guys with one last little acceleration here. It does pull strong. Put you in the back of your seat here nicely. And yes, that's very, very quick indeed. So anyway, huge thanks to Buick for providing me with this very nice press car to review for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think about the Regal GS, and I'll see you next time. Take care.